to today's lecture on organizational structure and design in agribusiness. So, in this session, we'll explore how different organizational models will impact the efficiency, adaptability, and success of our agribusiness. So, in the Philippines, Asia, and beyond, understanding these structures is crucial for managing our operations, improving our productivity, and responding to industry challenge. Stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights in agribusiness management. So, welcome to my lecture presentation in Introduction to Organizational Structure and Design in Agribusiness. So, my name is Michael Victor Gonzalez from West Visayas State University College of Agriculture and Forestry. So, let's begin. So, let's start. What is organizational structure? The organizational structure, it refers to the way in which the task and the responsibilities, as well as the power within the business, are organized and coordinated. So, in agribusiness, effective organizational structure is essential for smooth operations, efficient use of our resources, and our adaptability to the fast changing agricultural landscape. And this organizational structure, the people within our structure are being designated a certain role that align to their uh, expertise. As agribusiness in the Philippines and ASEAN grow, the need for a well planned organizational structure becomes a need for a well planned organization. And even it became more critical to ensure the sustainability and competitiveness in both local and international market. The key people within your organization are vital, where this organizational structure should be prepared, should be planned, so that each member will work smoothly and in cooperation to the organization. So, what is organizational design? The organizational design is the process of creating or adjusting an organization structure to align with its strategic goals and operational needs. This ensures that the organization can respond effectively to internal and external challenges, such as an evolving market trends and the regulatory changes and technological innovations. So, in your organizational design, you assign certain individuals to that certain area where these people in that area have the competencies in order to respond to this uh, ongoing innovations and responding to the challenges. So if there is no key individuals in that area, how can your organization adapt? So the types of our organizational structure. So let's start with functional structure. In the word functional, it organized a business based on specialized tasks or functions such as marketing, finance, operations, and human resources. And each department is headed by a what we call specialist in that function. So the advantage of the functional structure is that it has a clear chain of command, specialized expertise in each department, and efficiency within function. And because of this specialized expertise, the individuals who are working in that certain uh, area has already developed a mastery of their operation. So that's one of the key advantage of functional structure. So the disadvantages, it can create a silo where departments may not communicate effectively. So if the one leading the organization are not uh, properly utilize each department. it might create a division among the organization, and it may lead to a slow decision making. That is a disadvantage in a part of the one leading the organization if it is not effectively utilized at each department. So it also falls to the responsibility of the leader. Example in the Philippines of functional structure, we do have many large agricultural companies in the Philippines. Best example here, our San Miguel Foods, who adopt functional structure. And each division, like their poultry, hog racing, feeds, or feed milling, operates under a specialized function, such as production, marketing, and sales. Mostly the functional structure was being adapted if it is already broadening its operation. Next, our divisional structure. So the divisional structure, it organizes the company around a products, services, and also their customers, geographical locations. So each division operates almost like its own business with its own management and structure. So they have a division in that area. So the advantage of this, it allows for flexibility and focus on specific markets and also for products and regions. The disadvantage, the potential duplication of resources and efforts between divisions. So it if it is not managed very well, the organization might replicate the other what is the other division are doing, and it's not effective or it's not efficient in that manner because they are not utilizing the potential of the overall structure of the company. The example for our divisional structure in ASEAN, a CP group, a Charon Pokhan Group. So this group is a large agribusiness conglomerate in Thailand. So they uses a divisional structure where divisions focus on animal feed, farming, and food processing, and each functioning semi-independently to cater to specific markets. Another is our matrix structure. A matrix structure blends the elements of both functional and divisional structures. Employees report to both functional and project managers, allowing for more flexibility in resource allocation and project management. So, what is the advantage of matrix structure? It encourages the collaboration between departments, enables the flexibility in resource use, and support dynamic projects and management. So what is the disadvantages? It can lead to confusion and reporting relationships. And because there are a lot of involved in this structure, confusion is something that needs to be managed carefully. And the reporting relationship and slower decision making due to dual authority. So if the team is uh, without unity, that can be lead to chaos, and that is the disadvantage of matrix structure. And if you are leading this structure, you must have to be careful to have a confusion in your organization because that could lead to a slower decision making and it could lead to a certain uh, failure of management if not done properly. So example for our matrix structure is the Bayer and Monsanto. So a global agribusiness company utilizes a matrix structure Employees report both to product managers and functional heads, such as marketing or research and development, to foster a collaboration across departments and regions. So, another type of organizational structure is our flat structure. A flat structure has fewer levels of management and more direct communication between employees and top management. So this structure is common in small agribusinesses. So the flatter the organization, uh, it shows a what we call smaller operation. So advantage of flat structure is that the decision making uh, it is a little bit faster compared to a more uh, bigger organization because the involvement of your employees are more direct and reduce the bureaucracy. The disadvantage of this is that it can be difficult to maintain as the company grows, leading to confusion in roles and responsibilities if the organization became bigger and more people are involved. So flat structure that is part of its disadvantage. Example, in the Philippines, smaller farms and cooperatives in rural areas such as organic farming cooperatives in Negros Occidental often adopt a flat structure where farmers have more say in decision making and leadership is less hierarchical. So more freedom to our farmers that they can operate in their farm in their operations with the less or minimal supervisions of their upper head of their cooperatives. Another one is the network structure. So the network organization structure, if you can see, there are certain groups. So this network structure involves a what we call collaborating with the external organizations. So there is a outsiders where our organization and their organization will work together to attain a certain objective, to attain a certain goal. So, for example, the suppliers, the distributors, and also service providers, the different organizations are working together. So the agribusinesses often outsource the non-core functions to create flexible, responsive system. Most of the time, if in our organization has uh, or less capability in that area, and we need a help in order for us to advance our objective, we need to tap other organization, and we need to have a what we call network structure a uh, with that organization to fill in the gap of our incompetencies in within our organization. And by tapping their core competency, we can be able to collaborate and we can work together and achieve our objective. So the advantage is that it can be highly flexible, lower head costs, and the ability to quickly scale the operations because we are tapping the core competencies of the other organization. The disadvantage is that it relies heavily on partnership and external coordination. So if we rely heavily in partnership and external coordination, the disadvantage is that it is outside of our control. So we really hope that our partners will perform their responsibility. That is why the memorandum of understanding should have properly set the criteria and the parameters so that we will have guidelines of that partnership, which can make yes, it can make it even more difficult to maintain and control over the process if there is no memorandum of understanding what both parties should perform. That is why these disadvantages should be handled properly so that this structure will work uh, in accordance to the reason or the objective of this structure. So, example, in the Zara's agribusiness operation, in conjunction with Inditex, use a network structure, particularly in their food supply chain management. And the company outsources significant portions of production, distribution, and logistics to maintain a flexible and cost effective system. So let's proceed to the organizational structure in the agribusiness in the Philippine context. So in the Philippines, our agribusiness operates in an increasingly complex and competitive environment. The government initiatives such as the Philippine Rural Development Project encourage the agribusiness to encourages our agribusiness to grow by providing a financial and technical support to our small, to our micro and medium enterprises. However, many agribusiness face organizational challenges that seems or that stems from our fragmented land ownership, limited access to markets, and inadequate infrastructure. So examples of the Philippine agribusiness with unique organizational structure. In the Philippines, we do have a Philippine Coconut Authority. The PCA uses a functional structure with departments that focused on research, policy development, and support services for coconut farmers. This allows the Philippine Coconut Authority to address the varied needs of the coconut industry efficiently. Another one is the La Frutera Incorporated, a pioneer in exportation, operates under a divisional structure where it segments its operations by production or production sites and export markets to cater to the different international buyers. So another one is the challenges and trends in organizational design in ASEAN agribusiness. So we do have a increasing scale of operations, as what I uh, discussed earlier. The flat organizational base on self-management is the one of the disadvantage of this is one if the operation is growing, the more people are involved, it creates a challenge or problem to manage the people in this type of organization. So many agribusinesses in Asia are growing, leading to a more complex operations. And there are already a lot of factors that needs to be considered when your business are growing. There are already involves the marketing, the finance. So if you are still in the flat structure, uh, designating the certain important roles or part of your business is already a must, especially if you're already managing a multi-million operation. So here, as the operation is became more complex and needs for scalable organizational structure, you need to restructure your organization. You need to adapt. And larger agribusiness often transition from flat structure to a more formalized functional or divisional structure as they expand across the regions and markets. Another one is the technological integration. So in our modern times, the technology, if used properly, it is really a beneficial. And the only challenge is that the early adoption, especially for those who are used for traditional method. The growing use of the technology in agriculture, such as our precision farming, automation, and data analytics, that demands more flexible organizational design, often leading to a shift towards matrix or network structures. So if you are not familiar with this structure, sometimes it can lead to confusion and uncertainty. And to incorporate the technological expertise across the various functions is somehow difficult for those who are used to traditional method. And especially if you're not familiar, sometimes you have that feeling of uncertain. You're not sure if this can be done or if this will work properly. So those are some of the challenges, the integration. But if done properly, it really can create a huge impact in your operation. Another one is the cross-border collaboration. Since there is a huge logistical consideration in this matter, where ASEAN push towards a greater economic integration, where countries are working together, agribusinesses in the region are increasingly looking at network structures, partners with business across borders to expand their production, distribution, and market access. Especially, we need to understand the market dynamics and the demand and supply, where there are some countries that they have the difficulty to produce that certain commodity due to climate consideration. But that certain commodity will thrive to a certain country because of the climate consideration. So that's why some countries are making a cross-border cooperation in order for them to secure the supply of that certain commodity where they have the difficulty to produce, and they need to secure that in that country alone, or in that country, specific country, have this capacity to produce for that certain commodity, and that can supply the needs of their people. So, example in ASEAN, the Olam International, a global agribusiness based in Singapore, who operates a network structure where it partners with farmers, also suppliers and distributors in various ASEAN countries to ensure a reliable supply chain for its products. So, what are the key elements of effective organizational design in agribusiness? So, number one is the adaptability. So, we need to understand the nature of agribusiness is a very volatile and complex in nature. Agribusiness must design their organizational structure to quickly respond to market changes. The market changes might brought by the government policy, the market trends. So the demand and supply dynamics is very volatile. And that is why we need to be very flexible in adapting to the needs of our target markets, especially in the unpredictable agricultural environment. So this is very unpredictable. That's why we need to be very responsive. Flexible structure such as the matrix or network structure, where it will allow you to tap the resources or the uh, competency of other organization, where partnership can be utilized, will allow you to faster decision making, as well as to be responsiveness, to be to make your company a very responsive to the external factors like the market shift and climate change. So another one is the employee empowerment. So here, uh, how can we uh, empower our employee, embrace the mistakes, offer employees greater flexibility, involve employees in company decision, and also recognize and celebrate achievements, co-create individual growth plans, and help managers become better leaders. So in these um, ideas in empowering our employment, successful agribusinesses will ensure the employees at all levels can contribute to our decision making, because they are really part of the growth or success and even failure of our operation. And flat structure or teams with shared leadership will empower the workers, which is essential in a labor intensive sector like our uh, agriculture. And another one is the sustainability focus. In Southeast Asia, sustainable practices are becoming integral to agribusiness models. Uh, since the sustainability is very vital, organizational structures that integrate the sustainability into decision-making process, such as having a dedicated departments for sustainable farming practices, can give agribusinesses a competitive edge. For the conclusion of our presentation, understanding and implementing the right organizational structure is key to the success of agribusiness in the Philippines. ASEAN, and the global community. As these businesses expand and face new challenges, adaptability in structure and design becomes more crucial. And by learning from international best practices and also tailoring this model to our local context, agribusiness can thrive in competitive and ever changing markets. So our references used for our lecture presentations. You may also visit this for a further readings. So thank you very much for being part of this lecture. Uh, Stay tuned, and follow-up lectures will be presented related to our lessons. Thank you, and have a wonderful day ahead.